Welcome back, folks. Today we'll discuss about Spark, specifically GroupBy and Aggregate functions. GroupBy allows you to group rows together based on some column values. For example, you could group together sales data by the day the sales occurred, or the group repeat customer data based on the name of the customer. Once you have performed the group by operation, you can use an aggregate function of the data. An aggregate function aggregates multiple rows of data into a single output, such as taking some of the inputs or counting the number of inputs. After that introduction, let's do some examples so that we become more familiar with this group by aggregate functions. Before we do that, let's start a Spark. For that, we have to do import find Spark, and we have to specify the path for the find Spark to find the Spark program. Do the init c Spark. Let me just copy and paste from my other file. It'll be easier because I don't want to make some mistakes here and take the time debugging it. So it runs. Next step is to import PySpark and import a Spark session. Let's do that. We do import a PySpark. That's the first step. Second step is to from PySpark SQL we want to import Spark session. Spark session. This is what we want to import. Let's run this and see what happens. It runs. Third step is to create a session and name the session. Since we imported already the Spark session, we're gonna create a session and name it Spark session dot builder dot app name. Let's name it Eggs Spark session, and then we'll do create. Now we have our Spark session. Next step is to import the data for our manipulation, and for that we're going to read the data from the file. We read a CSV file, and it's a salesinfo.csv. We need to insert a schema so that we know that which columns are integer and which columns are strings. And we have a header in this file, so the header is true. We have an error. Why do we have an error? Read. Okay, I forgot to put the method here, so it's gonna be this. Spark session is creating a session now, and once we create a session, I'm gonna run this again so that this thing runs. It is importing the file. It has imported the file now. Now let's see what's inside this file. What's the structure of this file? We have to check it out. what's inside. So nullable string, some are double, some are numbers. Is a 3 column file, company, person, and sales. And company and person are string, and sales is a double. Let's see what's inside this file. Let's see the rows. Data frame dot show. Okay, we have some rows here. 10 rows. Okay, this is what we have. So this is a data frame, and I'm going to show and look inside and see what does it have. What if let's check what happens if you do collect. Collect should bring up all the rows in a row format. Yep, that's what we got. That's what I expected. Show, and let's do data frame dot collect, just for heck of that, you know, just to play around. See, there are two different representations of the same data. Now we're gonna do a group by on based upon the company column. Data frame group by, and we have column name company, and it should return you a data frame group data. And on top of that, we can execute some methods such as mean, which will provide us the mean of each of the based upon the each of for each group it will provide you the mean. So we have the group object. Second step is to perform some operation on top of this group data. Let's see what happens if I do this. Yeah, it is giving error as expected. Now we'll perform a mean function on top of this. Group by company mean show. It has performed the mean function on top of it. If I remove this show, it will just show you the data frame. But if I do show, it will show you the data frame itself, the contents of the data frame. Now next step is to do the minimum. Let's add one more row here. Data frame dot group by company minimum dot show. There you go. Now we have the minimum value for each group, and it's showing those. Next step is to do the sum for each group. How do we do this? We do this by doing df dot group by company sum dot show. Here we have the sum for each of the groups. There are other ways to do group by instead of using group by function. What are those? Let me show you. We can use aggregate function instead of group by to use the aggregate functions. Now I want to look at the maximum value for cells. How do I do that? I'll type cells here, and using dictionary I will do cells max here, and this will give me a data frame and which I will show the contents of. So I have the max for cells. I can do the same thing on a group by as well. Let's replace this with grouped, and let's see what happens here. Next step is to define a group by variable. It is giving error because I have not defined what group by is yet. Group by is equal to company. Now we have a group by object that is stored in grouped. Now we can apply sales max on top of that. Let's see what happens. Remember we did this earlier. What if I replace the df by grouped? What happens? It will show me the group for each group the maximum value instead of for the whole data set. That's all for today. Let me quickly summarize what we discussed today. We discussed about group by and aggregate function, and we did it by reading a sales input data. We used group by function on company column, and then we applied some aggregate functions such as mean, minimum, sum on top of the group data. Besides using a group by function, we can also use aggregate function, which takes in a dictionary values to group by. So that's all. That's what we discussed today. Thank you so much.